What's the best Nike Air Max 95 of all time?
Gee, I don't know.
What is the crowning achievement of this shoe? The pinnacle. It could only ever be one.
What's up, everybody? It's Joe La Puma. You were watching the Complex Sneakers Podcast. As always, I'm joined by my two friends, my two co-hosts. To my right, Mr. Matt Welty.
It's a chaotic morning, but I feel like I thrive in the chaos, so we are here to rip it up.
Chaotic morning. Yeah, the
What's
call
the
time.
chaos?
Half hour earlier call time. Chaotic.
No, it's just a chaotic morning, you know?
For
What's
you,
chaotic about it?
my morning's been normal.
Oh,
Me too.
I was up at 6.
So was I at 6:15.
Well,
You were?
Yeah.
You got your lift in?
No lifting today.
Oh,
but
sounds
fine.
the
It's
opposite of
fine. I'm
chaotic.
glad it's fine.
To my left, Mr. Brendan Dunne.
Hey, what's up?
How you doing?
Good. I feel great. I won an award.
I saw
Am I glowing?
Sorry, I
the
didn't see it. What did you-
influencer award. Oh God! Really saved that for a month.
Do you remember the conversation we had out here about our friend Justin Seeley mentioning he was at a random JD Sports in Tennessee and he was
Oh,
looking
yes. Now I
Air
got
Max
you.
T-Eds,
Yeah.
and the guy said Big Brendan Dunne shoe out of
Yeah.
nowhere. So JD Sports officially, they posted it on social. They said Brendan Dunne, influencer of the year. So
Yep.
Pulitzer still forthcoming. Never
Exactly.
sniffed a Webby, but we got something for the for the
Yeah.
trophy
I didn't
case.
know if you had applied for like investigative journalist.
Oh no, the year's not even over yet. He's getting hardware.
It's March.
Yeah.
Yeah, something for the trophy room. No Marcus, but yeah.
Congrats.
Thank you. And also, let me do a mea culpa too. Let me bring myself down. We were talking about sneaker loafers on here, and I was saying that the Mizuno Mach is the worst of the bunch. I still stand by that, but a bunch of people were saying, oh, that actually came well before this wave.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. I never said it was brand new, but I understand the criticism still sucks. There, we got that out of the way.
All right, a lot of topics to get to today
Yeah.
with one list that we're gonna rank.
We're going to talk about these old man New Balances that are even older than old man.
People were outside Saturday morning for cool gray 9s. A little surprising. Maybe they were, maybe they weren't.
Yeah, we've been gone for a couple weeks. Want to catch up on this Adidas AE2 leak. I have some interesting Adidas Nike F1 news that may be exciting for all my motorsports heads out there. And then best Air Max 95s of all time.
Packed show. As always, check out the Complex shop. Some new drops on there. A new Rolling Loud capsule. Did you cop a Rolling Loud hoodie?
I rolled up all the loud.
Now that I know that it's on the shop, I might have to go buy a
Go check
buy
that
a
out.
piece.
Complex.com/shop. All right, let's get to it.
Brendan, we've been talking about that New Balance Allerdale shoe.
We have to talk about the Allerdale. That
You've
shoe's
seen
amazing.
those, Joe, right?
Yeah,
the brown
I like
leather
them.
ones.
I can't wear them,
You
but
don't like them?
I do like them.
Okay,
But
okay.
it's something that I could not
The way
pull
they
off.
styled it in like the lookbooks and everything with the
Denim
old
on
guy
denim.
wearing the suits and stuff.
I like the denim on denim look.
Yeah.
So wait, did you guys get those yet?
No. They come out this week, designed by Sam Pierce in the England factory,
Mm-hmm.
made in England, kind of meant to look like a Mephisto
It's
luxury.
a New Balance Mephisto,
Here's
right?
what I
Yeah.
would say though. The one thing I would say about I really like that colorway. I don't know if it works in any other colorway though.
Dude, if you blaze a white leather with those,
think so?
a supple white,
Maybe
Well,
white.
he likes that. He likes because
Yeah,
he's always
that's me.
wears those.
Maybe white, but I don't
agree
know
with you,
about
the
black.
No, but the brown.
Perfect.
Yes.
That's the only thing
brown
that
leather. I need them too. They're a whopping 220 GBP. I saw.
I think it's 250 US.
they look really good. But my thought was like the transfer of colorways in these might be tough. Maybe white, but I just think brown. Leading with brown is very smart because I think that's going to be the
smart-looking
colorway
shoe.
that looks the best.
I was surprised because people know it's like I've worn a lot of those like brown leather like Adidas shoes over the years.
I was doing that this weekend.
Yep.
Spezia. I was a geography teacher.
Great, but I feel like people always kind of like they're like a love it or hate it shoe, but a lot of hate it. And then when I posted that Allerdale saying, this is one of my personal favorite shoes this year, I was expecting people to either not care or just kind of like talk crap.
Yeah,
And
clown on you.
And it got a huge like great reception on the sneaker, so I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
On viral?
It didn't go viral, but I was just like, I wasn't expecting like 600 likes on a tweet about a brown leather shoe.
And
you
also,
know?
it's interesting because, and I like these a lot, but this is not the type of New Balance that people are into right now.
Yeah.
People are into mesh New Balances, the suede a lot less. So I feel like when you're thinking about New Balance right now, you aren't thinking about this style of shoe. The most popular leather New Balance for the past 10 years has probably been the 550.
Correct.
Which had its moment and went. And this isn't even that 550-ish, but I'm just like, it's cool that people are into the shoe because there's not a lot of precedent for it in the New Balance catalog right now.
Yeah, just it's fun to see something different pop up and do something.
Yeah, even if it's not that different
that
from
different.
everything Mephisto does.
Yes, yeah.
Talked about this weekend the shoes you were wearing. I love to see Saturday morning. I got up fairly early, took a walk around my neighborhood. I won't say where, and there was a Foot Locker, and there was a long line Saturday morning.
This
And
happened
I'm
to me
like-
as well.
And I'm
For
like,
what?
God, what a cool gray 9s.
Brought the feeling back.
People were out
Restoring
here
the feeling. I
scrapping for the
loved it.
cool gray
Restoring the
9s.
feeling. I walked by the line very discreetly from across the street, and just to see people coming out. And then the other thing I loved brought me right back to finish line Saturday mornings. The manager comes out. No 9, no 7.5, no 8. Like, just those are gone already. And it's funny because cool gray 9s, I feel like, isn't one that people really expected to move like that.
Yeah, I didn't know there was any heat around this. Didn't you say you had a friend who was
Yeah,
asking
so-
for some advice on whether or not they should buy
Yes,
them?
my friend got him. The same guy who thought the green beans were spray painted
Right.
on. So makes sense a little bit. But I remember I got the cool gray 9s shipped to Yukon with the black 17 lows that had a little bit of croc or alligator. It was the same thing I remember. But I was just like, yeah, that's going to be a tough wear for you right now. I think.
To your friend.
Yeah, but I'm not going to
It's
lie.
an all gray shoe. It's like
I just feel like no tongue is tough. It's really no tongue.
yeah,
Can't fuck them.
Yeah, exactly.
celibate.
That's exactly. But I did
nice.
think of like, it's really crazy how like you see a lineup and you're like, wait, maybe I should have paid more attention to these. Like that, the psychological.
yeah,
that's
yeah,
literally.
yeah.
I think that's called buying into the hype.
Yeah.
But do you think that there's like a numbers game going on any of these shoes where they're just maybe not as mass produced? So maybe there's a little more.
I
hype
don't know.
behind
I
them?
was going to ask you guys that if maybe they're selling out. Like
I saw
and
this
and a lot of
Instagram reel from this guy Shoot Geek Flips talking about the
Yes.
stock being a little lower than it was now in the Elliott Hill era versus the John Donahoe era. I don't always totally believe those stock numbers that you see in cook groups, but I could see that. I could see Jordan Brand trying to play the supply and demand game a little bit better. I had the same reaction as you, Joe. I wasn't walking. I was starting off a 20-mile run on Saturday morning,
Nice.
but I saw some people lined up outside the Snipes, and I was like, I don't even... What
when did you put it together that it was cool gray 9s?
later on when I was resting and post run and just like flipping through the internet and saying, oh, this is what people are out for. I'm glad people are outside.
It's crazy
Yeah.
because I didn't really see much. Like it maybe was out of the circle on it, but even on like X, I didn't really see that like conversation around
Yeah.
it beforehand where people are like, how you can tell if like people are gonna want to go for a shoe just
Yeah.
by like what
Yeah.
you see online and people
Yeah.
being like, if I don't get the shoe, I'm gonna be so upset.
For sure.
And I didn't really see any of that with this shoe. So when you guys told me about this, I was just kind of like caught off guard.
Did you notice though? A lot of people are happy that they sold out, and a lot of people tweeting like Jordan Brand is back or restoring
Isn't
the
that
feeling.
weird though?
Did you notice the tweets? Or there was a bunch.
But it's just it's such a weird dynamic where it's like people get upset that they can't buy stuff, but then when stuff sits on shelves,
Yeah.
the brand perception gets devalued in some regards. So now it's like it's almost like their favorite football team won 5 games in a row, and they're like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, we're back." You
Yeah,
know,
like you're cheering for Jordan Brand selling out the shoe, but it that doesn't affect whether or not you could get the shoe, right? I saw a lot of Nigel Air Jordan 4
Yep.
this week.
that's what I saw the most of.
This is a great shoe. I'm happy for Nigel. I think it's one of the best shoes of the year. I'm just ready to not have to see that shoe so much. I
There was
feel
the
like
2 old women who got the shoes. And
at Foot District in Spain. That had
you
to
think
be,
that's staged?
okay? Look, if Welty's allowed to say that the bricks
Okay.
being stolen off the train was staged, I am totally allowed to say that 2 older women who seemingly
it didn't even look like their size. It looked like they were like some.
Did you hit them up?
No, I will ask. I've been to Foot District in Spain. I know the people there. So they posted this image and these videos of these 2 older ladies who did not look like your typical sneaker consumers, overjoyed at the release of the Nigel Air Jordan 4 brick by brick, holding them in hand, happy to have them, putting them on feet. It just felt like a staged moment. I don't know how they released these shoes. I don't know whether or not these ladies were really here for them. And I'm not here to judge a book by a cover and say that there aren't all types of different people who are into sneakers. I love when
sure.
that
I
happens,
love
but
that
this
moment.
felt like a
But if it's
marketing
not a
moment.
moment, then it's like
Well,
what,
if you're saying it's fake, but
I'm saying my opinion. Like that was
what
my
I said
guess.
to you in the Slack, it's real to me. It's real to me. Can't tell me.
Some Jordan leaks floating around. I just want to mention one Korea Air Jordan 2.0. I just want to mention that because we did tell you a few months ago on this show that shoe was happening. So never forget that we're on here breaking news for
And
you every
watch,
week.
Go watch, our best Air Jordan 3 ranking where we gave a lot of love to that Korea Air Jordan 3, which is how awesome that shoe is.
Yeah, so sequel coming, just like we told you a few months ago. You're welcome. We're not just on here yapping.
Yeah, no, we're not.
Adidas AE2 is coming.
People seem to hate that shoe.
People are ready to dunk on the Adidas AE2 super early. Is it too early to dunk on that shoe?
It's weird because a lot of people had the reaction that the Hardens are better.
You think the Hardens are better right now?
No, that's what people were saying.
Yeah.
I think that AE2, I wasn't like, oh my God.
It's fine.
Yeah. It was an interesting moment. We weren't expecting the shoe to be revealed just yet, but on the latest Adidas earnings call, Adidas CEO Bjorn Gulden is on there talking about a bunch of upcoming products.
Snuck it in.
They're showing shoes, and randomly there's a photo of the Adidas AE2. And if you hadn't seen the sneaker already, you might not have known that was that. But Welty and I have seen it. We've held it in hand, and you can see the logo on it.
When?
Yeah, no, a couple weeks ago, a friend from the brand came in, like one of those look-see early, sample situations, and showed us Adidas's upcoming basketball line. We saw the AE2 in hand. I think we both had the reaction that like, oh, it's interesting. I don't know if it lives up to like
the one.
Yeah.
But when I saw it in hand, I wasn't like, oh man, people are going to hate this shoe.
I did feel like in hand it was a little bit heavy.
One thing I want to ask you guys, a lot of people are like, well, the full image wasn't revealed. You guys having it in hand, is that it? That's it.
Yeah, that's it.
But did you see, like, there were comments like, well, it's a
I
little
feel like
when you see it in hand,
when you see it in hand, you know how there's like that big triangle that comes up on it, and most people were like, why is there this big chunky thing? I felt like when I held it in hand, the shoe flowed together much better than it appeared on just that toe box shot.
It was also just a really interesting way for the first image of the shoe to arrive, because I don't know if this was an accident. You can't say it was an accident that it made it into a presentation that the CEO is giving in front of investors, but it sounded to me, based on the reaction from people at Adidas, that this wasn't totally planned out, and not a lot of the people involved in the shoe knew that there was going to be this image of it just floating out there. And again, when Adidas showed it, they didn't give the context of what it was, but we knew it was the shoe. We broke the news that this is the AE2. You can see the logo on there a little bit. We had confirmation. So just a funny way for this shoe to arrive in the public for the first time.
How do you guys feel about Adidas's really big push to try to make the Superstar happen again this year?
Oof. I don't think Superstar is next up.
Either do I.
It's
It's weird because it's like their like
North Star.
But
are they trying to like what they did with the Samba or different?
It's just like right now it feels like there's like the big push behind it. Like Pharrell has that big puffy one coming out.
I don't like those.
They're sending out a bunch of like just kind of, emails to everyone who's on adidas.com like this, check out the Superstar, like
the Superstar hasn't been one of them shoes
like
for
2017
for a while.
Yeah, they've been talking about
2017,
this
you
plan.
I think so, yeah.
Really?
I think it's going to be a tough sell.
Me too.
And I just don't think the Superstar is that comfortable. I remember when we put out our best Adidas of all time list, one whiny guy who works for Adidas, who will go unnamed here, was complaining that the Superstar...
Get spicy with people who want to talk spicy behind the scenes.
Why not? Yeah, we could talk spicy in public if you need it. But we have the Beaverton bean counters. We need a version of that for the people who work at Adidas. Like, we don't need it right now, but people in the comments, please come up with the term for us.
Whoa, he came in with some new energy. That he left the "It's Us" tag on the
Beaverton
Gotti Air
bean
Force
counters.
Ones.
That's right.
You got the Audi accountants or something?
Yeah, that's not bad.
Also, the thing is, a lot of what we liked about the AE1 was all the context around it and the marketing and Ant himself playing in them. So I can understand if the AE2 is not yet exciting for people because we don't have any of that package around it. We just have one vignetted image.
The one crazy thing to me that I remember from last year that didn't really end up happening or didn't end up really being a thing is they tried to push Ant into the lifestyle space and do that like rivalry low.
Yeah,
In
that
the
was super
suede.
random.
I remember that.
Nobody cared about
But you
that.
would think that like if he's your like coolest sports guy,
Which is he? Is he the coolest athlete on Adidas's roster?
I mean, who's cooler than him?
Some young football stars. They have Lamine Yamal,
Yeah, big deal. I've seen young people wearing his jersey around the world.
huge star.
And you know I'm around the world. ComplexCon Hong Kong this weekend. I'll be there. Can I talk about another Adidas thing?
Sure,
This is a little bit of a personal one, but if you guys get to talk about wrestling sometimes, I can talk about F1 sometimes, right?
sure.
F1 season is back on. This is a story from a few years ago that we never really surfaced, but I think is still interesting. So this season marks the first year of the partnership between Adidas and the Mercedes F1 team.
They
So
had those superstars, right?
yeah, they got a bunch of product coming, but actually a few years back, Nike was courting the Mercedes AMG F1 team. They had Lewis Hamilton and George Russell.
Remember the rumors, yeah.
Yeah, they visited Nike campus October 2023, right around the time of the Austin Grand Prix at that point. It never happened. As from what I understand, it was close, but you have to sign the whole team, not just the individual guys. Nike wanted Lewis Hamilton. Lewis Hamilton eventually said, wait, I don't know if we can do it. And then 2024, he announces he's signing with Ferrari, and the whole thing kind of gets scuttled. And now you have
I feel
Adidas.
like Nike's a little hesitant
and
too about
Mercedes.
like getting into other sports.
Yeah, but Lewis Hamilton and
No,
Nike
I'm not,
would
I'm
have
not
made
saying the
so much
superstar,
sense.
but like as a
Totally.
whole, it feels like as a business, they don't want to just invest totally in like offshoot sports.
Yeah, but I just think it would have been a cool moment. And it was in the works, but then Lewis went to Ferrari and just never happened. But now you have Mercedes, Adidas, which I think is still an interesting partnership, especially in the wake of them losing the German soccer team. It's not the real consolation prize, but it helps a little bit.
Do you want those Supreme Air Max ones?
Supreme Air Max 1's another story we broke. I don't need those.
I
There
like
was
the apparel.
yeah,
I like the apparel. I don't think I need the sneakers, though.
leather toe box on an Air Max 1 is
Mini
never
swoosh.
a good thing, right? Mini swoosh has been done too much. It looks cool, but we just see too much mini swoosh. I don't think I need them. There was a time in my life 8 years ago where I would have just bought them automatically.
Yeah.
We've grown since then. Do you like them, Welty?
They're okay. Like you said, if this shoe came out in like 2011, I would have bought it like just no questions asked.
You wouldn't have even thought about it.
No, it's just like, wow, this is amazing. Give me every color.
Yeah. There's a
Really?
full size.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you ever do that?
Not with Supreme, but with like certain Air Maxes, I'd be like we're gonna talk about today, 95s. It was just like, oh, a new gradient came out. Here's
OG gradient colorway, different color.
yeah, here's $150. Like,
Nice.
here you go.
Yeah, I know that feeling well.
Before we get into our topic, what do we got on feet today?
I'm doing the Yachty Concrete Boys Air Force Ones, like you said, bringing the spicy
Yeah.
energy.
Feel like that they aged pretty well, right?
Yeah, I like them. This first time I'm putting them on feet. They are a 9.5 and they fit me, which blows my mind.
That you know what is that shoe ran? I was surprised because I feel like they ran small. Because
Okay.
I wear an 11
Yeah.
and I got a 10.5
Yeah,
in them
yeah,
because usually half size down in Air
course.
Force Ones and they just didn't even fit on my feet. So
yeah. I like them quite a bit, and I'm looking forward to the Bapesta style colorways the
Is-
Yachty has. I hope that.
Me
I hope,
too.
Isn't
I hope
that
those
funny?
release.
Me
Isn't
too.
that funny?
It's getting better.
Isn't that funny?
What?
How like the whole conversation was Yachty didn't do anything with his sneakers. They're so boring. He didn't cook anything up, right? Because he did like the kind of the riff on a lot of like, you know, the
Rockefeller, Terror
Yeah.
Squad, stamp
Yeah.
on the back.
Jeezy, etc.
Mm-hmm.
And then he actually flips something interesting and exciting.
I hope those release. I'm
I do
looking forward
too.
to
They
those.
look great.
Joe, what are you wearing?
I'm wearing the Pink Blast Air Max 95s. Little nod to the topic.
Japan exclusive.
Yeah, Japan exclusive. Not in Japan.
Are you big in Japan, Joe?
I don't know. Not in Japan right now for the Kith opening. Shouts to a new store in Osaka.
Mhm.
But yeah, 2019 release, Japan only. A little nod to our topic that we're going to get to today.
There you go.
Shout out our good friends at Sneaker Politics.
Yes.
Derek and gang.
Head to toe, you got the you're
Yeah.
repping the P.
Yeah, we're pushing.
politics.
Yeah, well, no, we're not pushing.
Oh no,
politics.
this is not a political
This
show.
is not a
Well,
political show.
well, hold on.
You
We're
know
not
what I
pushing
meant.
politics.
You know what I meant.
We're pushing P on here. These are the Sneaker Politics Kayano 14s.
The P stands for Pontchartrain.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I don't know what that is, but
It's a lake.
I just agreed.
Oh,
I don't
It's
know
the
either.
lake.
but yeah, these are just awesome colorway.
Those look super good.
Yeah.
I like them.
Great Kayano 14.
Did great.
All right. Topic close to my heart.
Yes. What are we talking about?
I feel like we haven't. Did we just decide on a whim that we were going to do it, or
Well, this
why
was
is it
this
the
was
right
like
time?
we were
Why is it the right
we were
time
coming
now?
up with an idea because we do a lot of weekly rankings
Mhm.
now on the site. Sometimes we'll bring them over to the podcast. If you want to go on the site, you'll see best Air Jordan 5s of all time, best Air Jordan 3s of
Yeah.
just it's fun to rank things, and just
And
a
people like to watch it.
single
Yes.
shoe. We were trying to come
Yes.
up with another ranking. We were like, I was like, why don't we do Air Max 95s? And you're like,
Oh.
yeah, sure, And then we're like, hey, you know what? We should do that for the podcast. You're like, think we should talk to Joe about it? And I'm like, let me tell you, if there's one thing that I don't think we really need to twist Joe's arm on,
Approved.
is talking about the best Air Max 95s of all time.
Joe,
Approved.
where does the Air Max 95 sit for you in your pantheon of sneakers? It's on
Top
your Mount.
5.
It's on your Mount Rushmore. Is it top 4?
Easily.
Yeah.
Easily.
Is it top 3? He's furrowing his brow. He's scrunching up his face.
Top 5. It's how I felt about the Jordan 4 back in the day, where I was like, oh, no matter how many shoes come in and out of the office or the apartment, spread across so many brands, it's how I felt when I was buying 10 pairs of Oreo 4s back in the day. I was like, these shoes just fit me the best for whatever reason. It's like,
Aren't
how
they a
you
little uncomfortable though?
I think they're uncomfortable, man.
I think Air Max 95s are uncomfortable.
I've had a lot of Air Max 95s, and there's something about
right here.
No, for me, it's how the tongue has like the webbing on the side where it's in. It just feel like it itches the top of my foot.
I'll tell you guys, I don't share that. I think sometimes they're a little tight here.
Yeah.
I go on the treadmill with these.
No.
I do. Yes. Yes,
no,
I
Joe,
have been.
You're on the treadmill with the
Yes.
Air Max
You know what they
95s?
say?
Incline.
You know what they say?
Incline. No, I don't. What?
95 Air Max.
Because I'm a dope runner.
Yep.
I didn't say it. That's just a.
Well, that's what Gucci said.
I know. I brought it up to him
But
multiple times.
I think it's interesting too, though, Joe, because I feel like when it comes to 95,
Whiz
it's
up.
like you're like
Is that lemonade he has?
No, this is I got that white monster in me, baby.
Careful. Careful.
I feel like when it comes to 95s, you're like a little bit of like maybe not like a late bloomer, but it's like it's like
Late to the party?
no, I'm not saying late to the party, but I don't remember like it back in the day being your shoe. But
He
then,
wasn't outside?
But then, no, I'm not saying that, but it's like you hit your stride with the 95s like a little bit like in the past few years. It became like your ultimate shoe, right?
Maybe.
Like,
I mean, I had Fantastic Fours. I had the.
but it wasn't the big JLP shoe
No,
way back in the
that's
day.
no Jordan 4s and Jordan 3s were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what signaled the shift to you?
I'm trying to think where the uptick really started. Was it Coral Studios
Maybe.
that I got?
Maybe.
And then I just went
All in.
heavy.
Did you have a pair in high school at all?
I think neons.
You were
But
97
more
guy back then.
97.
Yeah.
But I also think the athletic apparel tracksuit type of wave also contributed to me wearing
That pulled you
95s.
into more 95s.
Yes.
Yeah,
Like
Roadman
yes.
gear.
I feel like maybe when the world shifted to like the comfy running shoes,
Yeah.
you found the 95 as like your outlet for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm on the treadmill with them though. Not these, but some.
God bless you.
I feel like back in the day, like if this shoe had come out now, you would have been a Air Max 24/7 guy. Remember those?
I don't think so.
They were the Air Max 95s with the 2009 bubble on it.
I don't think so. I don't know. I think I would have been 95. But looking at this list, I have some
What
like.
about the one-time only Air Max 95s, the 360 sole on it?
Yeah.
Oh, the ones that we always talk about?
Yeah.
So one time only Air Max 95s. That was a Bacon one, right?
They did bacon. They did the neon.
We
Yeah.
put those
They
in
did
the
like a
magazine.
clerk? Didn't they do
Yes.
like a Union Clerks thing or
Yeah.
something?
Did the Union 97s.
Yeah.
I remember we gave them prime real estate, that project in the magazine.
Mm.
And I don't know. Maybe it didn't age well, but I remember like,
Wanting them back then.
yeah.
I wanted them too back then.
It was
yeah.
definitely, what was it, 2006?
Yeah.
It was definitely like, oh,
when
no
Air Max
money.
360 came out.
Yeah, no money. Interning here. Do I want to spend money on
No
these?
money JLP. That's all I know. It was a long time ago.
Yeah, like, do I want? No, but I do want them. I think Bradley wore the bacon ones. A lot of bacon in sneaker culture
Yep.
this week.
Sizzling up.
You know, Kevin Bacon sneaker shopping.
Go
Go
watch
watch
it.
that. Wait till Monday though. That's all I'm gonna say.
For those who don't know, we're going to talk about the best Air Max 95s of all time.
Yes.
Air Max 95, for those who don't know, was the first Air Max that was designed not as a true performance sneaker. It was made to celebrate what was considered the culture of running at the time, which we would now refer to just as more of a lifestyle shoe.
Sports style.
yep.
Sportswear.
Designed by Sergio Lozano.
Come on.
The shoe's made to represent the human anatomy. You got the rib cage on the lace. You got the muscle fibers on the gradient. You got the spine on the midsole, and the air bubble is viewed as the lungs.
Yeah, just a beautiful shoe. A shoe that was one of the first sneakers to ever resell and become a collector's item.
In Japan.
Yeah,
yes.
The Japanese market was buying them. They were selling out.
I think Ichiro was wearing them.
Yeah.
That's
Big deal.
Love that.
And they appeared in Yu-Gi-Oh! Nike's got to do a Yu-Gi-Oh! Air Max 95 or something. I just think that there's so many cool touch points that tie back to Japan. And you'll see on this list that we have a lot of collaborations from Japanese entities on here.
They just
Because
do it
I
best.
just trust them
It's
when it
same
comes
thing
to the
like
shoe.
Instapump. It's like there's a lot of things Japan does best, and if you get a chance, there's a story on the site from back in the day. Rest in peace, Gary Warnett.
Yeah.
Air Max 95 was his favorite shoe of all time. Got him to do a story, 20 things you didn't know about the Air Max
such
95.
a good piece.
Yeah.
And it's
Such a
like
good
sometimes
piece.
those things you didn't know about this shoe, they're like a little just kind of cursory knowledge. But
Yeah,
I feel
or
like
sometimes you see other websites who do them and they just rip them all off from
Yeah,
us. There's
but-
a phone posit one on Footwear News. That looks a lot
Gary's
like
20
ours,
things
but-
you didn't know about the Air Max 95 is well worth your time reading, and you'll actually really learn about the shoe.
Yes.
Before
for
we
sure.
get into the list, can I do some honorable mentions?
Yes, please. You brought a bunch of shoes here.
I did bring a bunch of shoes.
This is so exciting. When we started talking about this list, Welty, it was one of those ones where we're making a Google Doc and we're just like, this is so good. This one's so
And
good.
you know
this
how
one's
you know
so
it's good? Because sometimes when we make those lists, we'll make the rankings with the other group, and then we'll show it to you at the end. And we're like, Joe, do you want to sit on this list ranking? And you're like, yes.
Yeah, I was trolling the whole I
You were
was
trolling. You were not that on
Do people
task.
hate when I do that? I feel like it brings the vibes.
It was a vibe.
They're trying to get work done. I had the
The virtual background in the Zoom meeting,
Oh, yeah,
you
he
put
put-
Welty in Ibiza.
Put
Yes.
it in Tulum.
yes, exactly. But okay, honorable mention. I'll bring out the shoes. You guys say why
Okay.
they're not on the list.
Okay.
Okay.
First one. Come on now.
Great shoe.
Soul Collector Air Max 95.
Just not a real release. It's an ID shoe that was made in mass and then sold by the Soul Collector crew.
Yeah.
I think that was. Am I tripping? Is that like? It has like the bison leather on it.
I'm not sure.
I think that's what it was
Nike
called.
ID options, but a very cool, very memorable, very hard to find sneaker, but
Look at
just
these air
wasn't
bubbles.
a
Yeah.
full-on official collaboration in the way some of these other ones are.
It was like the premium era of Nike ID, where like you could get these shoes made at the 255 Elizabeth
Sure.
location, and it was like appointment only.
Sure.
So this is a Nike ID shoe, but it's not Nike ID in the sense where you could go on NikeID.com and just make the shoes. These were like what would later become Nike's bespoke program at 21 Mercer, but
Special looking shoe.
300 made.
There you go.
Another one that's not going to make it that I love. I will say I told you guys,
Yep.
like, when I wear these, there's so many people who are
Yeah.
like, what are those? What are those?
once again, another Nike ID
Coral
shoe.
Studios Nike Air Max 95.
Yep.
This one kind of passed me by. Maybe I sound like a hater.
Love
This
it.
one never meant that much to me, but I realize that there are a lot of people who this is a grail for them.
No, really nice shoe. Yeah, Nike ID. Yeah.
Nike ID on the tongue.
So we're not counting it. We're counting sneakers that officially released on
Yeah.
this
Yes.
list. Should we get into the actual list? Or you
We
got-
should.
Okay.
Okay.
Number 15.
This,
Personal-
we had to put this one on for
personal
Joe.
We
choice,
had to
baby.
put this
There's
here to
about
make Joe
7 other
happy.
shoes that I could say that go on instead. I was looking at it instead of this one, but we'll give you this at number 15.
Whoa.
CDG Air Max 95. I feel like these aged very well and there was an appreciation for them.
Thanks to you.
I'm not saying that.
Thanks
but
to Lorenz.
Lorenz did a bunch. What I will say is I feel like when these released, they weren't as appreciated as they are now. Like, I think they had a very good afterlife.
Mhm.
I love the distressed type of materials.
This is what helps this shoe stand out a lot. As you'll see on this list, a lot of the Air Max 95 special editions don't change that much with respect to materials or the construction of the shoe. A lot of it is colorway flips. That's fine. We like those. Those can make a shoe iconic. But this CDG pair is special partly because it does change up the material. It has this kind of frilled, frayed look. It's one
Yes.
of the best Comme des Garçons Nike collaborations ever.
Just look at the monitor. Come on.
Good looking shoe.
Come on, right?
Good looking shoe.
Let's be honest, if this was the thumbnail. But what I want to say is yesterday when we were talking about it, I was like, is it the best CDG Nike collab? And I'm thinking like, it might be. It might be. And then quick, it's not. You know
180.
why? The 180.
You think the
better.
180 is the best Comme des Garçons Nike collaboration?
Pink and black.
I think so.
Oh, it's so good.
Let me just say, I
I
think the
agree
bar
that
is
the-
kind of low for CDG's Nike collaborations overall. I think they got a lot of misses, but
I mean, they have
are the
some
foam
hits.
posits not the best Comme des Garçons Nikes?
I think that 180s, pink and black.
You
The
think-
the 180s just to me like
Smash.
They pull the heartstrings.
Oh,
I like the 180s. I bought the 180s. I bought a couple pairs at retail.
same.
I like that all pink pair, man.
But you're telling me those are better than the CDG foams that actually
Well,
changed the shoe up beyond just the colorway?
Both foams are great to
Air
me.
Force Ones.
The first one, what? You don't like the second one?
The second wave of CDG foams was not necessary to me.
I like it, but the first foam to me, great. These, great. 180s, great.
You know what I hate about the shoe so much? And this is, no,
There he
I don't
goes.
hate the shoe. The thing I hate about the shoe so much, though, is that the fact
Here
that...
comes the hater.
So,
Hi, hater.
no, I don't.
I'm waving.
This
Yeah.
is me
Me
being kind of a little sarcastic. So one of the things I do is for sneaker shopping is at the end where you're walking the What's on Feet segment, right? Where Joe and the guest are wearing the shoes and you say the name of the shoes and the price. And you've literally worn that shoe so many times on sneaker shopping that I just know that shoe is $350 retail without even having to look it up.
So you hate the price? Or you
No,
hate
I don't
that
hate the
wear 'em?
price. It's just like I literally have that shoe etched into my brain from like, okay, Joe's wearing CDG 95s again.
Do you want me to go through all the stuff about you I have etched in my brain? That's pretty benign to me. Number 15, okay? Be here for 2 hours, please. Number 15, though, I'm happy it made it. And I think, was this a JLP strong arm or no? We feel good that.
This was not a JLP strong.
But not a strong arm, but so it's like, but I was going back and it's like one shoe surprise that doesn't make the list. And I know we can't have all the gradients on there, but one of the shoes to me that I'm like, man, I feel like it really deserved a spot on the list because if you want to talk about like OG Air Max 95s are the safety orange pair. For those who don't know, it's like the 95 came out in a handful of colorways on initial release. And then the shoe got like retroed or like continuously produced not that far down the road. So in 1997, they were already making new colorways of the Air Max 95, which is kind of like unprecedented because it's not like the Air Jordan 4 came out and then 2 years later they're making an unreleased color, or not unreleased, but like a
brand new colorway.
So they did that for the Air Max 95. When the Air Max 95 first came out, the shoe just said Air Max on the box, just like shoes used to say Air Jordan.
Yeah.
But then when the new colorways came out, it said Air Max SC.
Right. Sport Classic, I think is what people believe that.
And then that's when
for.
like the whole range of all the gradients came out. And I even got confused looking back at the history. I'm like, wait, I thought all the gradients came out upon first release, but it was just the neon with some other colorways. And then a few years later they did it. But the safety orange to me is just like one of those, I don't know. I just look at those OG pairs from like 97, 98. And they just look so awesome.
Yeah, but we left that off the list because some of the OG, you love the OG. We all love that
it's
original
hard to top.
gradient
It's like
colorway.
they
You
just
put a
got
different
it
pop
right.
color in.
They got it right the
but it
first-
doesn't feel significant or distinct enough. But I do love what Welty's talking about, the specific history of the 95 and how big the shoe was right away, where it came out in 95. The last of those final colorways came out spring 1996. And then the shoe was barely gone. And then 97, they bring it back. And
97, 98,
off to
they
the
do that.
races.
And another one of the shoes from that same era that I'm like so in love with is the Pool Blue Air Max 95s, women's colorway. It just, oh man, you see it. And like the thing too is that those earlier pairs look so good because they have that huge friggin' bubble on the back.
Yeah.
Where they don't do that right now. The shoes used to be pumped up with greenhouse gases and now they switched it to nitrogen in 2006. But like when you just see that huge honking bubble on the back, it's hard in my mind to say that a shoe that came out in 2017 that doesn't have that bubble on it is better than a shoe that existed in that form.
You just look back like the meme, the guy.
You need the BBL.
Yeah.
You already said?
Yeah.
Number 14
Olympic Air Max 95s from 2004.
reminds me of going to pickyourshoes.com and seeing them like.
Well, to me, it's like, so if that shoe's not going to make the list, the Soul Collector pair, I feel like you kind of gotta, you have to have the Olympic pair.
Well, I don't see
on
the
list.
correlation, but make the case.
I just feel like they look really similar in the sense, well, they're not like a copy of each other, but that really bright rainbow gradient on the
I
side.
see what you're saying.
Olympic rings inspired 2004 Olympic Games. Just one of those popular Olympic colorways that you always used to see.
It's just a smart flip, you know? It's like you just take an all-white Air Max 95s, take the Olympic rings, which are a rainbow of colorways, and just kind of fill up the gradient with it. Kind of a paint-by-numbers almost approach, and it just looks great.
Yeah.
I agree.
Number 13 on our list, Air Max 95 Juventus.
So this is one that, if this released today...
How many pairs, Joe?
I mean...
And it's a white base shoe.
It is a white base. I also have history with it because I talked to Ronaldo about it.
And that was one of our biggest, I feel like one of our biggest arguments with this list is just the fact that there's a lot of really good Air Max 95s that are white based because the shoes are typically a black. There's white based and black based Air Max 95s in like the OG set. And I feel like you just hate the white based shoes.
But here's what I would say about that. That's why I know I love the silhouette, because this one that we're talking about and the next one I actually really like, and they are white based shoes. This though, one of the first football collaborations on an Air Max.
Yeah.
The tongue, I love the tongue with
the stars.
Two stars on the tongue to represent the championships the team has.
Come on.
Yeah.
Never came back out. Probably won't ever come back out.
Yeah, but I will say that this colorway is close to that OG black border colorway, and that
colorway is so good. I
that
feel like
colorway is coming back out this year. There's another news break. We're gonna give you a lot of special
also it's
info.
one of those ones we were going through all like the OGs, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, in my mind, that black border one is better than the CDG 95s. And it's not I'm not hating on the CDG 95s. Black border to me is it's like better than the Olympics.
Yeah, black border Air Max 95 coming back in the fall.
So why didn't that make it? Because this made it?
Well, it's also like, I feel like there's so many varieties of the 95 where it's like we can't just pick all the original ones and say this is a list and have like 2 collaborations on it.
Yeah.
But what I would say is, like, sometimes we nerd out. The tongue for this sets it off.
Yeah.
The tongue with the 2 championships.
Subtle detail. Next on here.
Yeah, so this one is interesting to me because this one reminds me of, it might sound weird, it reminds me of like growing up in Long Island, in the suburbs, not in the industry yet, and like tangentially paying attention to sneakers. And like this Air Max 95, I feel like is a parent shoe that I saw like growing up.
I feel like there's a picture of Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman like running in this sneaker.
Really? I just feel like it was serious.
Slate Air Max 95.
I just feel like it was a shoe that the parents in the town who were runners were wearing. I just
really this specific colorway.
Yeah, I vaguely remember it like being beat up and like chores being done. But
I feel like it's a much more parent-friendly colorway than like neons.
That's why I think I remember seeing it when I was young. Like I know that's a weird.
Like, how many like mom shoes, you know, like New Balance mom shoes you see in white and blue. You know?
Yeah.
But OG colorway,
it looks great.
And different approach to the gradient. We like the neon gradient the most, the gray to black, but
of course
this has a different approach with the colors. A little bit of like Grape Jordan 5 feel to it, right?
Well, also close to the next one. But what I would say is like the neon one is obviously the pure true OG. Then you have the different iterations that they switched up.
Yeah.
I also feel though this one is so recognizable as an OG one as well.
Yeah.
You just like, it's like if it's not the gradients,
Correct.
It's like this is the next thing that kind of pops into your mind, like this iteration of it.
Yeah.
I remember being disappointed because I remember when these shoes came out, I believe in 2009 or 2010, because I had pretty much purchased every single gradient that had come out in that era. And then these came out and I really, really wanted them. But the problem is that the thing I loved about the black base 95 gradient is that the midsole is just black rubber. It's not painted black.
Okay.
So it's not going to crack or the paint's not going to chip off.
Yeah, no flaking.
It's just a straight black foam, where this is Nike hits it with that really cheap layer of like white, almost like it's like the landlord coming in and being like, oh, let me spray paint your kitchen.
Or the super.
Is that what you're doing at the building?
Look at you cutting corners in Jersey.
No, but I feel like that's kind of what they did on the retros of these shoes. And you could see where like the bubbles were already forming underneath the foam and where it was going to crack. And I was like, do I really want to spend my money on something that's going to chip away?
No.
Absolutely not. But yeah, I feel like this is the OG departure from the gradient.
With the big, like, wear these with like big Nike wind pants back in the day,
or
sort
like
of vibe.
or like a Dallas Mavericks jersey. You know?
Bad time for the Mavericks.
Tough one.
Next up on here.
OG women's colorway.
Okay.
Grape.
Grape Air Max 95s.
These are hard.
Do we need to say much more?
I mean, we need to talk about the shoes.
I know, but sometimes this is what I like too about a lot of these Air Max 95s is that they're original colorways that don't necessarily have a lot of
There's no story behind it,
or cultural.
It's the Oprah gif.
Yeah, exactly. It just looks hard. It's just a hard shoe.
We all know the shoe, but there's not really this like the shoe was inspired by this. And da 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 da. There's
which is totally fine.
And like we don't need
the storytelling.
Yeah,
relax.
we don't need it all the time.
Yeah.
It's just sometimes but a good shoe is a good shoe. Like it should speak to you regardless, you know, and you just see it and you're like, I like it. But I do think it's cool because we've kind of revisited this theme in recent times, thanks to our friend Action Bronson, with that New Balance 1906, where he said, inspired by the women's colorway, right? And I feel like these are the sort of shoes that he's in reference to, where at that point where you're a guy and you're like, wait, the woman's one looks even harder than, like, if they put, Brendan, if you walked into a sneaker store, right, and say 1996, and you see on the shelves, and you don't know which, gender is each shoe, right? And
closing his eyes.
And you just see the Slate 95s on the wall and the Grape 95s on the wall, which one are you going to gravitate towards and ask for in your size?
That's a tough one. I'm still going Slate, but I have another anecdote.
Go Slate. Should we put Slate over Grape? Should we change up the list?
I'm still going
Slate. I'm here in 96, and I'm grabbing the Slates.
I'm still going Slate, but what I will say is if I was working retail and I came in 10 a.m., and had my clipboard, and I was like, let me go through the inventory of the Grape 95s, women's 95s. Oh, interesting. There's not a lot of size 13s and not a lot of size 12s. You know why?
You pulled one aside?
No.
To the women's.
All the men are coming in and buying them.
Exactly.
Yeah. Also, while we're talking women in Air Max, let's not forget Sporty Spice, Mel C.
Oh, yeah.
She made Air Max 95s look good. And Air Maxes in general. I was trying to interview her about her sneaker taste a couple years ago. Never happened. Maybe
Where is that? Is that a trainer spotting post?
Maybe I'll come back to it, yeah.
Because, I'm heavy on there.
I was in touch with her manager. Well,
next shoe on the list. Here's one where I guess it's a controversial take between us three. I feel like this shouldn't be a controversial take between people who really love Air Max 95s as a whole.
Look at him, not me.
You don't like it either. This does nothing.
Yeah, but you're the big Air Max 95 guy.
This shoe to me is freaking awesome. I remember
That's the pull quote for the DVD.
Yeah.
I remember when
maybe the Smack
when
DVD,
I first came on when I first came so when I remember first going on Nike Talk back in the day.
Yes.
Of course, a lot of people were Dunk collectors, Air Jordan collectors, but then there was a segment of Nike Talk where it's Team AM fam, the Air Max crew.
Chris One, if I remember correctly.
Shout out Chris One. There's a story I did on Air Max collectors where he's actually featured in it, so go read that as well. But I remember being like, wow, these guys are onto something different, right? They had a different appreciation for shoes. And I remember the green monster, not the white monster, even though there is a white monster Air Max 95 as well.
Okay.
But
so many monsters.
Yep. They're all under my bed. Green
Zombie with no conscience.
Green Monster Air Max 95s from 2002. It's one of the first Air Max 95s that came in like a crazy colorway.
Okay.
You look at it, it almost looks like the OG. It's green, but it looks almost like the neon.
Yeah, it's got that DNA. It's got that heritage to it.
But it looks like it's like Godzilla ran rampant on the shoe.
So this is what I would say. You felt very strongly about these. At like 2:00 yesterday, yapping across from me. He sits across from me. Also,
he was not yapping. He was campaigning for an important shoe that meant a lot to a core group of sneaker lovers at a time when there were not that many of us.
Okay.
And the bubble looks beautiful.
Nice.
You look at all these shoes.
We don't need
you look at all these shoes next to each other. This bubble was still big back then.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're not on his defense team yet. Also, little fun fact for people that don't know, maybe we'll do a picture. The desk stands up. So when him and I are come back,
I hurt my back.
So when him and I are going at it sometimes, which we tend to do, okay? Let's be honest. You think he's only going back and forth on Twitter? No. Him and I, we go friendly
banter,
sparring.
Oh, sparring. Okay.
Sometimes, though, I'm sitting down and he's up and I feel like he's talking down to me. So anyway, that's like 2:00.
just like all the years you spent talking down to me.
I
finally get one back.
I don't feel like I didn't do that. I feel like I didn't do that. Only when you pushed my buttons a little bit, which still, last week I told him to take a walk. I literally told him that.
It was an intense moment. I wish we had some
I don't
BTS.
think so, so I don't think so.
I'm kidding.
Anyways.
Where were we?
2:00, he bring the green monster. It's hammering. I'm on the subway. I'm looking at it. I'm like, you know what? Is this growing on me? No. Is this growing on me? Then before bed, I take my vitamins. I look at it once again.
Flintstones gummies.
Exactly. Man, is the green monster growing on me? And the answer is no.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
The answer is no. This is not a shoe for me.
Okay, but look at it historically, right? The shoe came out in 2002.
Right.
Okay. The materials on it, they're like faux luxury inspired to look like a monster. Nike wasn't even, they had some like snakeskin Air Force Ones, etc. But it's like when it came to like running heritage, you didn't have sneakers at that point that had this look to them.
Kind of exotic.
Yeah, kind of exotic. And 95 in a colorway that even that one-ups how like bright and ostentatious that a 95 can be.
Yeah.
And with that big bubble on it. And this is like pre the whole like hype limited edition sneaker bright color phase.
Yeah.
Where it's like you can imagine when this shoe came out, people were just like, what the heck is this?
Yeah. It's good context.
It's fair. If you disagree with me, let me know in the comments.
Like I said, you got to go back to, and it's like Brendan mentioned, it having that, it only existing with that huge bubble on the back does the shoe so much favors in the context where it's like, but look at it, it looks better.
But it's yellow and brown.
That's why I don't like it.
Pee poo poo colorway.
That's why I don't like it.
I feel like if somehow magically you got a pair of those on your feet right now, you'd be like, these are kind of hard.
Kind of hard.
For the record, not that it matters, asked our friend PG, just for reference,
I'll give a lecky in.
What he thought some of the best Air Max 95s of all time were. He said, Green Monster got to be top 10.
Let me tell you something. If PG wants to give us his opinions on sneakers, and he wants his opinions on sneakers heard on this podcast, you know what he can do? He can take an Uber to Times Square, and he can sit here with us and give, because we begged for years, and we're done begging, so I don't give a what PG has to say.
Clip it out.
Yeah. You know what I want to hear from PG? Hey, I just sent you the Zelle. That's about it.
Okay.
That's about it, buddy.
Hey, he did some business with me 2 weeks ago, so
Let's get back to the list.
Not selling shoes, but I bought shoes from him. We'll get to that later.
Yes, do you have those? We have so much to get to. This is a beautiful day. Number 9, Cortez Nike Air Max 95. Is this recency bias?
Wait, I feel like...
Is this recency bias?
Hold on. So I feel like this was actually the biggest hot button issue or crux of the conversation.
Where to put these?
Because this was a huge shoe, no denying it, massive, instant new classic, brought back the energy in the way that a lot of the new collaborations. So that, like I've said many times, Nike needs to make more Cortez 95s than they do retroing Wu-Tang dunks. They need
to projects like this, new partners.
And I know you don't have these, so just take a look.
Joe's good. Joe's letting me
love these
hold them. I like this shoe a lot, even though he blocked me on Instagram. Beautiful looking shoe.
But there's a lot of people who are watching this list where I feel like maybe their introduction or maybe their history with the 95 isn't as deep, but the Cortez 95 is a shoe they really gravitated towards because it was like the shoe of their generation, who think that this should maybe be like a top 2 or top 3 shoe. I'm
on this list.
No way.
No, I mean, people that are watching it who aren't as into the 95 game, but they know Cortez 95s think that maybe should be up there.
I think at 9, I think
it's a great shoe. I'm not like
I love that it cracked the top 10.
It benefits from there's 3 colorways of it.
I like the green one the most.
There's another one coming,
which I thought looked like the Monster 95s. Turns out other people don't feel the same. So
also they're about to add to this legacy because this is a big Air Max 95 year. 30-year anniversary. There's a bunch of cool Air Max 95s. Cortez has another one coming, the black and yellow honey blacks, kind of a bumblebee colorway. That's coming end of April. There's going to be a lot of pairs of those, but I think that most of the pairs might be sold through Cortez. I'm hearing more than 50,000 pairs of those, so quite a bit, and quite a bit more than the OG neon Air Max 95, which of course we'll get to, but that one's going to be a limited one this year, around 10,000 pairs. And then next year you can expect a wider release, but I think they're going to keep those tight.
Wait, another retro, 2026?
That's what I understand.
Hold on, can you go into that a little bit?
This year's Air Max 95 Neon with the bigger bubble will be a little bit harder to get. It's going to release first week of April, 4th or 5th. It'll trickle into stores. There won't be a lot of partners who will have them from what I understand, and then the real rollout for them will happen next year. And it'll
be big bubble?
If they dropped it without the big bubble, I think people should riot in the streets.
Okay, well, relax. Also, big box retailers in 2026?
From what I understand. I don't have a lot of information about what's happening in 26
Can you feel this back real quick?
You're just making me feel more of the shoe that
What's your favorite color?
Pink beam. I'm like Samus with the beam.
That's your favorite colorway out of them?
I think so.
What's your favorite colorway out of the bunch?
This one.
For me, it's the green. But
yeah, I like that you like the green.
What are the coordinates on the back? Where do those point?
Isn't it point to where the shoe released?
I don't know. I don't have the shoe.
That bubble in the back feels fine?
Yeah.
Okay. Next up,
just making sure.
I think maybe the shoe could be higher, and I don't know if that's my bias to it, but I feel like it's one of the most important Air Max 95s of all time. There's many names that they've given this shade on the sneaker. Some people call it the chili. It's the red Air Max 95s in the gradient. I feel like when it comes to Air Max 95 gradients, some people might say safety orange because that was one of the first ones that came out after the neon.
Yeah.
But I really feel like when it comes to the gradient, it's the neon and it's the red. That's like the bread Jordan ones and the royal Jordan ones.
Good analogy.
Yes, very much so. This is the one you think about. This is the one that has sold a ton of units over the years, just been
Every
around.
time this comes out in the black and red, it's just instant boom, just gone.
Yeah. Beautiful looking shoe. One that, again, no deep story. It's just a hard shoe.
The Neon 95, it's kind of a bright colorway that not that not everyone can wear it, but it's some people might look at it and say, oh, what am I going to wear with it? But you do it in a color that is much more palatable to a lot of people.
Yeah.
Also a shoe that the game rapped about.
Yeah, you
where he
brought that
said,
up yesterday.
I'll kill you if you try me for my Air Max 95s, black and red 95s.
Gotta be this one.
Yeah. I remember when the shoe came out, they had done it in the suede gradients, but I think the year before, and I got hyped on this because they did a Foot Action exclusive where they dropped it in the same shoe but in nubuck.
Oh,
and
cool.
I had gotten those and they were super limited, and I was just like, man,
Like that.
next shoe.
ISO on him for this one?
Maybe this sneaker doesn't mean a lot to a lot of people, and it's not that well known, Air Max 95, but if you love the Air Max 95, then you love these and you want these. Number 7 on our list is the Mita Nike Air Max 95 Ueno with a little bit of embroidery on the inside. A beautiful shoe, a simple shoe, a shoe that looks a lot like the OG Neon Air Max 95, but it's different. It's based on a prototype of the Neon Air Max 95 that Sergio Lozano had on his desk in a photo that I think was pictured in Boone magazine, and the tongue is black.
I'm on the hunt for these, man.
Ronnie has the last pairs that are out in the wild, so he's the guy to go
Give
to.
him a Jerry Seinfeld.
Yeah. This is a beautiful, subtle change.
Yes.
This is a reference to a long-forgotten piece of history on the Air Max 95. It's a shoe that, to me, is a unicorn. I think in a way that something like the Coral Studios for other people, where it's like you would never even come close to this. That's how I feel with the Mita Air Max 95. And again, it comes from Japan. It comes from real connoisseurs of the shoe who know its importance and know its impact and know why this special small thing makes a big difference.
If you have 11 and a half out there, hit me, please.
And these are hard in another version it's not the same as this, but we were talking about the other day a shoe I think that I feel like gets forgotten in the mix. There's an antifreeze version of the Air Max. I remember showing that to you.
Not my
for
favorite,
the first.
yeah.
Not your favorite?
No.
So
I like those.
It's the Neon 95, but it has black
Yeah.
lace loops instead of neon. So good.
Yeah. Mita's from 2013, though. Really good. And also, this year, you can expect Nike to do a little bit more referencing of Sergio Lozano's original work. So there's a sketch that he did of the Air Max 95 that flips the gradient with the black on top going down to lighter colorways. They're going to do a version of that pretty soon here. So that should be out in a couple weeks.
Yeah, it's great.
Next shoe. Man.
I don't own it, but it's great.
Man.
2008.
I have a pair. The box by my desk is empty. I don't know where the shoes are.
Really?
Are we
What
about to do a
size?
street investigation?
11.
Okay.
What shoe?
This?
Para Running Man Air Max 95s. Does it really get better? I mean, it gets better
It gets
than
better
this.
with better. We
Yeah.
have 6 more
Well,
shoes to
it's
get
one of those
to.
things you just see. You're like, does it really get that much better than this? Not that much better.
It's a beautiful looking shoe. I know that, like, so easy to say and so cliche, but the color blocking,
The clear outsole on it.
it just is, it's up there.
It's just so good.
And it arrived in that time when we wanted the most colorful shoes possible. There are a bunch of different hoodies I could think of. There's
Well,
a Rocksmith
there's actually-
reversible
Yeah, Rocksmith.
hoodie
Well, there's
I had
actually-
that fits perfectly
There's
with
actually a Windrunner jacket for these that has like the Para hand coming down it.
this. Yeah.
Full fit for you?
Super amazing. I think I don't know if I told the story when I was working at Foot Action one day filling in. I look over to the infant section. They have like the little sock booty shoes, you know, not even the real sneakers, like literally slip-on socks that look like sneakers. And for whatever reason, someone at Nike made those in the Para Running Man 95
Really?
colorway, and we're just selling them at Foot Action. It's just like a GR thing.
Might
One
need
of
those
those
for the
things-
desk.
Yeah, where they knock off the collab inline.
Yeah.
Great shoe, though.
Yeah. I wish I had a pair of these.
Me
I
too.
remember staring at these on various websites for a long time at that.
Man, that color combo, because it's not something that would first come to mind either. You know, pink, red, and blue.
One of the more distinct, one of the ones that gets away from that familiar equation that we love on the 95 of the gradient, just a bit more daring.
I think people were arguing with us too when we were talking about, hey, we don't want all the retro shoes to come back, and people are like, well, what if they brought back the Power Running Mans when you guys want them? And I'm like, yeah, but I think it would brick. I don't know.
Right. And you have the OGs, so
yeah,
maybe
I'm not protecting that because it's like, as you know, Joe, the thing that stinks about collecting Air Max 95s is they're one of the shoes that do not last that long.
Yep.
And we're getting a lot of Air Max 95 this year, so we don't need more. There's SB Air Max. There's 2 colorways of SB Air Max 95s.
That's crazy.
And those will be less limited than the neon.
Good. I want them all.
Okay.
Next shoe coming up, another OG shoe, kind of like the Slates, but I feel like this is the one.
Okay.
Comet Air Max 95s.
I may like the Slates better.
No.
Sorry.
Comet Air Max 95s.
Someone painted a jet.
Yeah, it's a Nike jet. Yeah.
I remember there was a toy. I don't know if Kid Robot had made it where there was a neon colorway. I remember going into Carmelo back in the day and seeing it. But there was also Comet, but someone had made a toy that was a jet. That was the colorway of the Air Max 95s. I feel like that's something you would probably want to put on your...
Bradley had the neon one on his desk, though. Yes.
But also there was a Nike, one of the Nike jets back in the day had this colorway on it.
So Bradley had the OG one on his desk.
Yeah.
It was like a little, like on a stilt. I remember just
I think that's something you would put on your desk these days, though. Air Max 95 jet.
I need to put these on my feet. Fuck the desk.
I may fly in an Air Max 95 jet. What do you mean on my desk? Just the JLP on the tailwind?
Yeah. You could be in Hillsborough Airport?
Teterboro?
Never saw you in Hillsborough.
Oh, Oregon.
Yes.
Oh. Did you ever fly private to Oregon?
No, what?
Oh.
I've never flown private anywhere.
Oh.
So, okay, Comet 95s.
Yes.
These are just like we had mentioned before with the black and red Air Max 95s. I feel like there was an argument a little bit between us where it's like which one?
Yeah.
Because they're like both a red based colorway.
Yeah, but this one is distinct enough, like,
it's
again,
its own
different
thing.
equation. Yeah, it's not just, and that was one of the tough things we thought about when putting this list together was how many spaces we can reserve for the OG setup with the gradient with a different pop color, because we love those and we wanted fresh water every time, and I bought the photo blue one and I love those, but we just didn't want to load up the list with ones that look too similar, so we tried to weigh more things that look different, and that's why Comet gets this high of a look.
Isn't it crazy though? And I'm looking at it now. Isn't there something about these white-based gradient colorways that makes the shoe look sportier than like the neon?
I know what you mean.
Yeah, I could see that.
I will mention it doesn't look like this is in the plan as far as Air Max 95s coming back this year, which is a bit of a bummer. Based on what I know, I think they're going to stick a little bit more to the black base pair. So we know the pink foam is coming back around, the orange one is coming. Shoe. Yes, but not as many of these ones. So I don't think there's a Comet Retro right now.
How much would you love to see these with a big bubble though?
That'd be amazing. But the bubble needs to be bigger. And also, how much would you like to know how they made that shoe? I keep bugging the people at Nike to let me talk to the guy, Hiro Yusui, who did the new version of the Retro. I want to know.
That.
Yeah, I want to know what went into them making the bubble better. Although the bubble isn't as big as it could be, right?
It's still pretty. We thought at first that it wasn't that big. And then there was the comparison to the 2018 pair, and it's considerably bigger.
Yeah, after Nike in Japan did this quiet release at Blue Room this weekend where they stocked the shoes at this vintage reseller.
Would you be okay with Nike destroying the atmosphere a little bit just to do one run of shoes with the greenhouse gases in them?
Yeah.
He said, yeah.
Yeah.
Just to have a pair?
If that advances us to doomsday, like 4 days quicker, then like I think it's worth it if I can have a
pairs,
right? Fresh pair on my feet.
They'll just make some considered shoes, Brennan, to wipe off their.
That'll offset it, right? Nike does like their environmentally considered shoes, and then that offsets all the things that they've done to destroy the environment.
Shoot me up with that SF6, baby.
The Galaxy gas.
Yeah.
Not the Galaxy foams. I need the gas in the shoes. Next on the list.
Number 4.
Viotech.
Smash.
Atmos Viotech Air Max 95s.
Woo. We had said they took the greenhouse gas out in 2006.
Yeah.
The History of Air pack, where they kind of celebrated the whole run of Air Max, and they did the whole Powerwall collection.
Iconic.
Which is crazy because it's like, not to get too far off topic, but it's almost like to celebrate the last year they're going to make the bubbles the right way. They re-released every single OG.
Yeah. Infrared 90s.
Yeah.
White red Air Max 1s.
Well, looking at the lateral image, we always talk, sometimes we nerd out about the details. There's one detail that, to me, sets this shoe
Gum
off.
sole?
No.
Lace loops?
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Those lace loops come out of nowhere and set off the shoe perfectly.
We're both looking at the list. Just if you look at this one and then you scroll up to the next shoe, we're not going to say it yet.
Yeah.
Just look at that bubble difference on the back.
Yeah.
It's fair.
It's just
fair.
like,
when you're looking at it side by side, it's fair.
it just, it doesn't look bad on like the other one just in.
Has a little GS feel to it compared to the big bubble.
Yeah, the
You
newer
know?
ones, right?
It has-
Yeah, it
you
feels
remember
like a
when,
grade
like-
school shoe. It feels
remember
like a kid's
sometimes-
shoe. And we're
yeah,
adults
like-
around here. I'm a grown man.
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit, I'm a grown man.
Joe, how do you feel? How do you, speaking of GS shoes, because it's kind of based off of a GS shoe, because they used to make the Air Max 97s with the Air Max 95 air
That's
unit.
what I'm talking about.
I know. With Air Max 97 with the Air Max 95 air unit on it, but they're doing those Oregon Ducks Air Max 97s with
feather, yeah.
I know that you probably hate them. I don't mind them that much.
No, I thought you would have liked that shoe. I wanted to have this conversation because
I don't
I
mind
feel
them
like
that
you
much.
would be big stepping in those.
Whoa. So there's an Oregon Ducks shoe
Yeah.
coming out, and we want to know Joe La Puma's opinion, and
No.
he's the big stepper.
No, but
he's
that's-
the big Oregon
that
Ducks
pulled-
guy.
no, but
Wow,
that's-
wow, that's news
hold on.
to
Pulled
me.
up right to his neighborhood and
That's the
Again,
conversation.
you've never been to Hillsboro.
No.
That's
I
the
didn't
see you in the
conversation I want to have.
541.
oh, you want me to?
I've never seen you in Springfield.
Okay, let me know. I'm down to go to Portland whenever, freely. Trust
You're not okay with Joe.
We
Big
could go to Astoria.
You're not
wherever. Just let me know. Send me the map. I'll
Road
go.
trip to Seaside.
Yeah, I'll do a little bar crawl there if I want.
You're not okay with Joe big stepping in the Oregon Air
You could hit
Maxes.
campus with me. We could go to a game.
I've been there before.
You been to the University of Oregon?
No, I've been at the campus before.
Oh, the Nike campus.
Yeah.
I was talking about.
Listen, you take me wherever you want to go, and I will go. Trust me.
Atmos. What do you think we get first? These are the Viotech.
Or GTA 6.
Yeah, these are the Viotech Air Max ones.
I want them both.
What would you rather have though?
both. I would
Say
rather
that
have
again?
both.
Those are the Viotech Air Max ones.
Viotech Air Max 95s or Viotech Air Max 1s. Which would you rather have?
You know what I'm going.
95?
Yeah.
I feel like the Air Max one's the more like iconic or lauded after shoe though.
I think so. I don't think people know about these as much. Atmos collaboration, again, Japanese people do the Air Max 95 the best. We're going to give it to them. Nice work, Atmos, always.
Speaking of Atmos,
Next shoe on the list. I feel like this is the most popular,
This
the most
isn't the OG, but this is the re-release.
recognizable.
Does this even count?
That counts.
Okay.
This is our number 3 Air Max 95 of all time, the Beast Pack Atmos.
I feel like these were real love it or hate it when they
Ooh,
first
I
came
love
out.
these.
People
Mm.
weren't. I remember on Nike Talk when these first dropped because there was
2006.
there was the Air Max 1
Yeah.
that came out as well, and I feel like maybe the Air Max 1 was more talked about when these shoes first dropped, just because like that cheetah print on the side and everything, that it was just it stuck out a little bit more. But
So from the retro, they switched up this right here to black from pink, right? If we're looking.
this is one of the few hairy shoes that I like. I'm
Yeah.
not like all the way in on shoes having that sort of material on them, but
You've never seen an Air Max 95 like that before or since. And that what is so good about them.
Sorry.
he's like, "Hey, here, have my shoe." It's completely
They're
like
not that
disgusting
filthy.
on the side.
They smell fine.
You don't see prints on an
They
Air
smell-
Max 95 that
Yeah.
often, and nor do you see several different prints, textures, patterns like this.
Also
It's they got the whole like animal kingdom on that shoe.
yeah,
Yeah.
also from Top Town. Looks great.
Looking like Joe Exotic right now. Awesome Air Max 95, one of the most special pairs. I want to talk about one that we left off this list because I know nobody cares about it, but I still might go back and scoop them, is the Cav Empt Air Max 95.
I have both of those.
I feel like we couldn't justifiably put it on here because those went on super duper sale when they came out.
It's a good looking shoe, but it's like, and I know it's different enough, but
Yeah.
it's like, if safety orange Air Max 95s aren't gonna make the
Okay,
list,
then Cav Empt can't
then
touch
Cav
it.
Empt can't make it.
Okay, fair enough. What's our number 2 sneaker here on the best Air Max 95s of all time?
There's only one shoe to me that could
Rival
rival the number one shoe.
Because the number 1 is the number 1,
Yeah.
and you can't touch
And
that.
it's not a spoiler
It's like
alert.
the
We
Brett
know what it's
Jordan
gonna
ones,
be.
you
Yeah.
know. It's like
Number 2.
OG Stash Air Max 95. Look at these bubbles.
Look at that shoe.
First of all, look at the shoe.
I think the speckled midsole is one of the things that makes it.
Everything makes it.
But so
Josh Franklin, baby.
people were wondering if, when we were discussing this,
Let me see that.
if the re-release of the
catch.
stash,
One-handed, right-handed.
Good catch.
if the re-release of the stash being a lukewarm response, if in any shape or form, impacted that's the number 2 shoe on the list.
No, it doesn't change how this shoe looks, and I'm tired of the compo. This is still like the second. Other than the OG, this is the best the Air Max 95 has ever looked. Stash did it.
One of my favorite sneakers of all time.
You know what's insane too? And maybe I'm going too hard for Stash's work at this point, but I don't care. As good as this Stash Air Max 95 is, it's not even the best pair in that pack.
BW.
The BW is even better.
Maybe.
I don't know about that. BW's great, but
Maybe
that,
I'm doing a hot
great, but I
take.
feel like BW gets that because most people just think about that, and the BW's like the if you know stash shoe.
Maybe I'm trying to be too spicy.
we got to talk last week. PG knows post resold Stash Air Max 95. Good
So
price.
he resold a resold pair.
He didn't do it.
to you.
He didn't do it.
He middleman.
A lot of people inquired who did the work on the Soul Swap Stash Air Max 95. PG knows posted them late, maybe early last week, midnight. I caught it. I was like, hey, I'm interested in these.
You wanted to buy them.
I've said on here, like, I can't think of like a Soul Swap. I can't think of doing it. Bought the shoes. Shouts to Chris, met us at the office. You
Yes,
met him.
exactly.
Look at how good
Pretty
this
close.
this Soul Swap came out. 2020 Soul not going anywhere.
Does it kind of hurt your not like feelings, but just like the fact that the bubble doesn't look the same on the back?
Look, I could understand why
No.
that would hurt your feelings, but to me that's marginal if you have a version of the shoe that you can wear now, because the original
Look at
Stash
how good.
Air Max 95 is from 2006. Joe, would you be willing to put the original on your feet, or you just feel like it's going to fall apart?
I wore it for the Gucci.
Okay, and
the
it-
Gucci main episode, and
Wait,
It
so
held up.
you have two pairs of the OGs?
2 pairs. But everyone was asking who did the work. We got to shout out on Instagram, Kanotsky.
Okay.
Kanotsky. Shouts to him. Did amazing work. Also, his bio, Guardian of Souls. Okay, but look at the difference.
Yeah.
Do you want to touch it or no?
No, it's fine. But no, I'm not saying it in a negative way. But so how would you feel then, Joe, or Brendan? How would you feel? Because I know you have let's milk the cow a little bit more, right? Milk the cow till there's nothing left.
Okay, double down.
So if Joe were to put on the Stash 95s and let them crumble in the office just to make content, a la your Nike Airburst.
I wouldn't do that.
I feel like Brendan would.
Is that a character flaw?
Well, he made a career out of it. What do you
I made a
mean?
career out of breaking news. We told you
Breaking
so
news and
many
breaking
exclusive
souls.
breaking
Yeah.
news and breaking shoes
Yes,
is where we should have gone.
Exactly. He had a good 6 to 8 month run of the Airburst. was his whole MO. But there's no way that these could be number one.
No.
But to me, is this number 2 far and away better than number 3? Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Do you feel like it's sacrilegious though, to some extent though, to like have these Air Maxes that are? I know your Burst was like an old shoe that you owned and you had worn a bunch and it just fell apart, but to have these pieces of Nike history that you know are going to fall apart one day, to put them on and just let them crumble, or do you feel like they should somehow be preserved until they rot in a box?
I don't think so. I think you should put them on, and if they crumble, it's like, damn.
Even if it's 2 steps in.
Kind of, yeah.
If there's a way to preserve them and you can make them look good on display, then I think you could go that route.
How many do you think these have in them?
How many steps left in
Yeah.
your original
Not-
Stash?
Not
95?
10,000, which I've been
do you want
doing
to do it?
every
Do you want
day.
to? You want to test out the theory right now?
I mean, I'll put them on and see.
Really?
I'll put the
I
left
wish we
one
had
on.
like a treadmill here that you
No,
you
treadmill
doing
would be
treadmill
too
in the
crazy,
Stash
but let's
95.
well,
just
because
see.
there was. I mean, the
We
picture.
might be
Put the
making
video
history.
on. Let's just see.
Oh, Joe's tiptoe.
Let's
He's
just
not
see.
even tiptoeing.
Let's just see.
He's putting some hard work in the
Can
the original Stash Air Max
Does it look like
95s,
it's
doing a
falling?
lap. No, it looks sturdy to me.
Shh. Oh, dude, it
Look at how good they
looks
look, though.
the bubble looks a little compromised
Really?
on the inside. Yeah.
Look at how good they look, though.
Sturdy.
All right.
Let me say something else. When we put together this list, we like to Google around and see what other people say. I saw some terrible lists out
Like
there
what?
for the best Nike Air Max 95s. If you don't have the Stash high up, you made a bad list. Some of these lists, you know what? We work at Complex, and a lot of people want to talk about the work we do, and they don't like the list sometimes, or they
Well,
forget how much actual reporting
But
or
who also
interviews
are-
or
who's
news
making-
we're breaking.
Who's making the good lists out there
Ugh.
that are like, oh, their lists are so
some of
much
these
better?
lists people publish for Air Max 95s, you have the Freddy Krueger 95s on there. You have the Have a Nike Day, the fake Sean Witherspoon's. Like, where did you come up with this stuff? And the stuff you write about the shoes is like 2 sentences long.
We're
not
literally
even
trying to-
informed by any history.
okay.
No,
We're
I
trying
want
to
to bang
go
on my
through the
chest very
archives.
briefly, because like we don't sit up in here and talk about just how good the work we do is.
If we're considering,
Come on.
yourself
if
out
we're
for this
considering why or why
15-hour
not
flight.
the Soul
the
Collector,
bullshit these other people publish.
but if we're considering,
whoa.
shit.
Brendan,
ISO.
but if we're considering why or why not one of the greatest, not one of the greatest, or one of the greater Air Max 95s of all time, all like the Soul Collector, etc., can't even categorically make the list, then I feel like other people didn't even put that sort of thought into it.
Cat places like
Do you see the stuff that's on these other websites?
He must
Have you read the
some
writing?
last
Have
night
you
that
read
tipped
the
him
writing?
off.
Have you seen
what
the
was the
total
pin-
dearth of
what was the pinch
valuable
nosed about?
information?
No, he's talking about like sneaker nerds. What do you mean?
Oh.
Listen, he had some stuff to get off his chest.
I mean, we just
before
gave you
number one.
more news in this one podcast, and most of these people are going to break in a 6-month span. Anyways.
Wait, were you talking about him and I getting into it or real news? Oh, real news. Okay. Real sneaker news. I thought you meant our
What's the best Nike Air Max 95 of all time?
Gee, I don't know.
What is the crowning achievement of this shoe? The pinnacle. It could only ever be one. The 110 that means the most. The neon Nike Air Max 95. You close your eyes right now and you think Air Max 95, you will see this shoe in your mind's eye.
Let's do it. 1, 2, 3.
There it is. Glowing. The bubble is big. The neon is bright. The
We're
whites
back.
are crisp.
Like I said a couple weeks back, these are my white Air Force Ones. These are my white Air Force
You don't wear
Ones.
white sneakers, so
I'm just saying, like, oh, no, like, some people have 20, I don't have 20 pairs of these, but like, the other thing I've been doing lately that I love, I've totally been mismatching them to the fit. I just, like, I'm going to try to.
I feel like that, like, not like mismatch, but I feel like there's something about like wearing
Clashing?
or like wearing neon 95s with a Yankee fitted. Like they don't go together, but it's such a classic combination to begin with.
Totally. Do we have to really go in? Like, the whole list is based on this.
Yeah.
All the history is based on this.
Do you guys think
started
that
with this?
If the Air Max 95 originally releases, right? In
Yes.
like all the other OG colorways, but there's no neon 95, do you think the legacy of the 95 becomes what it is without that colorway of the shoe?
Good question.
I
don't
don't
know
know.
how
I
we
don't
would
know.
ever be able, but
I don't know. The hypotheticals are tough for me.
yeah, that's a tough hypothetical, but
But I feel like the colorway is what makes the shoe. It's not
Yeah.
it's not the design, but
Yeah.
it is the colorway. Is this the greatest Air Max colorway of all time?
Colorway?
Yeah.
It might be. It's either this or infrared.
yeah.
It might be the best. The gradient, the neon, the lace loops. I remember when I bought my first pair at Nike Eugene. The guy said, "Great pickup." I was a little on the fence because it was an expensive shoe. It was what?
A snot-nosed kid going into Eugene.
Remember
At
that?
Eugene? Who knew what was,
What would become?
what he
Yeah.
would become? And I'm not
A
talking
monster.
about going to the Magic card gatherings. I'm talking about his career as the #1 influencer, as said by JD Sports. He went into Eugene,
Not
snot-nosed
JD
kid.
Power approved. JD
You know-
Sports approved.
JD, yeah, exactly. Snot-nosed kid. I'll take one of them. And
Like my nose
gave-
piece snotty.
listen, the guy who sold him the shoes gave him the Air Max 95 neons and also
Gave me the battery for my back.
took out a little Werther's original for him, just like Grandpa used to do. Okay, okay, a little caramel.
I
hard
can't wait to
candy.
buy these. They're going to do the OG blue. I'm going to buy those when they come back out. There's 3 Levi's colorways and we haven't seen those yet.
I was checking Japan already.
Yeah.
'cause I know
Because these released early in Japan, the
Checking for my
2025 big
size.
bubble. You wanted to grab them off StockX.
But I'll wait.
I bought
I'll
those at 2008 from Concepts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remembered.
You know how I know this shoe is so good too is because it's one of the ones in my office at home that is sitting outside of the box. And sometimes you have this moment where you don't know what you're going to wear, you don't know what to reach for, and you look around and there's a couple hundred pairs of shoes and you're conflicted about what to grab. I grab these so often because they look so good.
It's awesome.
It's the best.
Remember when they did the Roger Federer version?
Yes, I have those.
Yeah.
I have those here actually in
Wait,
like a secret locker.
The tennis shoes?
Yeah,
You have a secret locker?
yeah, I do. I do.
This is the best.
#1.
Did
We
I
made
go
it
on the
through.
offense too much? Was I talking too
No,
spicy?
you're allowed
We
to
take
do
a lot of hits, so we never defend ourselves.
What
We
about-
let people talk about us for a decade, and we never defend ourselves. I just wanted to say 2 minutes about the work these other people do.
What about remember they did the patch version of this? Were you into that or not?
With the tongue?
Not
Yeah.
super necessary.
Me either. I like this tongue.
And then they did another one that was like a 3M like crocodile print on it.
Yeah, there were 3 or 4 pairs around that time. That
Yep.
They weren't that offensive, but also not that necessary. Joe's going full
Get the
110
thumbnail.
mode.
Production, get the thumbnail.
Loading up
Get
on
the
Air Max
thumbnail.
95s. Don't ever say this guy isn't a big Air Max 95
Remember
guy.
the-
The shoes are bumping up against the mic.
Do you remember
Sorry,
that? Like,
production.
remember that video that like they did with Idris Elba, and they're having him explain UK slang, and it was 110s, which is they call them 110s because they were 110 pounds.
Right.
They asked Idris Elba what the word was, and they're like, "What is this?" He's like, 11 OS.
Yeah, he might not. $140 retail to OGs for those that don't remember.
Made through the list. I'm happy with the list.
You've never looked happier.
Remember Wilson from Home
Yeah,
Improvement?
Remember Wilson from Home Improvement. Remember the Binford Tools Nikes?
Yes.
Is this the thumbnail? You got to hit him
No.
with a big cheesy smile, Mr. Beast style. Like you just had a Feastable
Oh,
bar.
like the Joker. What am I up to? Let's see.
Oh,
We'll
yeah,
see. Look at how good all these look, though. Right?
This image of
And
you.
wait, hold on.
Yeah.
Still
Going.
going
Still
strong.
breathing. Still got some air left in those lungs.
Oh, also, a little tease. We have a great guest next week.
Yes, very excited about that.
Who's on sneaker shopping next week, though?
Don't
You were
worry
teasing
about
that
it.
too. I want to know who
Do
it
you
is.
know? Don't say it. Do you know?
I know who it is.
Well, can somebody mouth the words to me? Oh, I know who it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, everyone, this has been the Complex Sneakers Podcast. We hope everyone has a great weekend. Please like, subscribe, comment. Let us know what your favorite Air Max 95s are. Let us know what we maybe left off the list that should have been on the list.
Not the Freddy Kruegers. Don't mention that.
If you mention some BS, I'm gonna be upset.
Oh, ooh, what's the LeBron gift? Ooh.
You made him mad.
Yeah. Yeah, uh-oh. Another tweet's coming. Just kidding. All right, everyone. This has been the Complex Sneakers Podcast. We will see everyone next week.